Good day, everyone. Welcome to today's tutorial. In today's tutorial, I want to walk you through on how to maneuver all your tools, how to use your tools, how to get familiar with them, because it's very important. Firstly, when you come into Blender, this is what you're going to see. When you open it up, either 4.2, either 4. Whatever version it is. So this is the interface you first of all see, and this you will see some of your past work, recent files that you are working on here. So that's where it is. So you just out click so that can be taken away. Then you will see your mesh, which you know as object, and you will see something like this here. That's what we call the camera, and this is your lights here. And you can see something that looks like graph, all these ones here on the floor. Yeah, that's this space here is your world. You know, in the previous class I told you that 3D is a world on its own. So it's a world that we animate, model, and bring it to life to people. So it's a world on its own. So this is your world here. These spaces you are seeing here is your world. This is where most of your work will be seen. This is where you'll be doing your, either you are modeling or you are doing your what do we call it, animating or texturing and the rest like that. Anything that has to do with 3D, this is where you'll be seeing them. Now let me start from the top bar. We have the head bar here. You can see here we have all this, okay, geometric nodes. So yeah, here first of all we have files. Some of you who are been doing graphic design, you should be familiar with what file and be you should know what you're expected to see there. So here we have new. If you want to create new new scene, or you want to create new project, so we have here, so general. So general is where we are here, general. So here we have general. We have 2D animation, we have sculpting, we have VFX, then we have video editing. So anything you want to work on here, so you can see 2D animation and the rest like that. So here we have open. If you want to import, maybe you have been working on a project before, you want to import it into your scene, this is where you do that. We also have open recent work. We have recover, your last session. Yes, your last session that you have done, it's always having an auto save. So it's always an auto save, so that if light goes off and you forgotten to save, it will save some of those works you have done, though it may not be 100%, but it will save. At least you'll be able to recover part of it. So here is save, Ctrl S, and save as, save copy, link, append, data, previews, import, export, external data. So here we this is if you want to import an SVG file, or scalable vector graphics, SVG. So the rest like that, that's for file. We have edits here. This edit is where you can undo, you can redo, you can undo history and the rest like that. We have menu search. If you want to search anything, maybe you want to look for, you don't know this shortcut to it, you can search here. Rename active item, that's F2. Bash rename. Then here we have lock object modes. You can lock your object modes. So you know, here we are in object mode anyway. So here we have preference. Now in this preference, I'll still talk more about it later. Here we have interface, theme, viewport, lights, editing, animation, add-ons. These add-ons is we still lay, especially on this add-on, lay emphasis on this add-on, but not in this class. When times comes, I'll talk about this add-on, this and add-ons. If okay, let me just give you little explanation of it. Add-ons are those things probably you are not seeing some kind of tools in your viewport here. You are not seeing some of them in your viewport here, in your interface here. You can come to your add-ons and add that particular thing you want to be using and add it to your scene. For instance, if I'm not seeing this, I can come to add-ons and add it here. Class. So that's that for that. We have render. If you want to render your work, are you rendering an animation or you are rendering just the image? If you have done your animation, making it move and the rest, so you do it in render animation, not image. So that's that for that. If you want to render only audio, view render. If you want to view your render, that's F11. View animation, that's Control F11. So that's that for that. We have here, we have windows, new windows. If you want to add new windows, new main windows, toggle window, full screen, and the rest like that. So this your help. So these are just the functional things, as in where you can always go and do some certain adjustments. But here is our layout. This is another segment entirely. Here is our layout. You can see our layout. We are already in our layout here. That is why you are seeing all these. This is our layout. This is our layout here. So here we have, now in our layout, though we are in object mode, so in this layout we have different modes. You can toggle down to your edit mode, this edit mode. I'm already in my edit mode now. You can see that this toolbar, this bar here has changed, unlike object mode. So, and also you can come to sculpt mode also in your layout, sculpt mode here. So if you want to do any sculpting and the rest like that, we'll still talk more on that later in the class, because we will model, we are going to sculpt some certain things. Here we have modeling. Yeah, modeling means you are moving from your normal layout down to your edit mode. So now we are in edit mode. So that's what we call modeling, because we do modeling in our edit mode. If you want to model this cube to turn to T-shapes now, it is only in that edit mode here that we're going to do that. We can't do that in our object mode. What we can only do in our object mode is just to scale, to scale our mesh, to rotate it, to squash it. Though we can also do that in edit mode, but we have to put some click on a particular face, click on a particular vertex, or click on a particular edges to, we will only work on a particular aspect. But in layer, in this view here, we are going to, you can do a lot of things. We can only rotate, scale, and the rest like that. So in our, though I'm still coming back to this side, let me still move on. So that's modeling, if you want to model. So now we have sculpting. Yeah, that sculpting that we saw the other time, this is it again. We have sculpting, if you want to really sculpt. So you can see if I am in my layout and I use my sculpting from here, you can see that it's different from this sculpting here. You can see, though it's still the same tools, the same everything that are there. It's still the same thing that are there. Do you understand? But it just remove that mesh, that graph you are seeing. It now makes it a plain thing like that. You can see. So that's sculpting, modeling, layout. Okay. So UV. Let's come to UV. Now, what does UV means? It means that you can see that it has split the screen into two. Here, other side here, this is where you unwrap. Now, UV are those things that you unwrap, like maybe you want to put a particular texture on a cloth, or you want to put a particular color, or you are working on an image, you want it to be on your mesh, on your object. So here is where you'll be seeing that object. In the later class, I'll still talk more on that. So here you'll be seeing it. Now, it's always in 2D. Now, 2D is a flat surface. 2D is in a flat surface that has to do with the height and the breadth. You cannot go around it like that. So it's a flat surface, rather. So so when it's just like, think of your Maggi, your seasoning that is in cube, that your seasoning that is in cube. Now think of it. If you unwrap that, or like your sweet, if you unwrap the nylon out of that sweet, and you will see that it is flattened. If you unwrap it and stretch it, you see that it is what? It is stretched out and flattened. So that is the same way. So if I want to wrap something on this cube, so I want maybe my name to be on top here, the address to be here, and other informations here, and another informations here, another informations here, and another informations here. So it's just like, just imagine you unwrapping it like a Maggi cube, a seasoning cube, like that. Do you understand? So it will now become flat. So if you want to add it on it, that's why you will need to pay attention when you are doing your wrapping. So that's for wrapping. That is for wrapping. We are going to do wrapping. Yes, I'm going to take you through how to wrap your image on your mesh or object. Here we have texture painting. So if you want to do some kind of texture painting, it's still also like 2D. Maybe you want to give it a particular color. Here I want maybe this part to be blue, I want this place to be white, I want this place to be yellow, and the rest like that. So this is where you can do your texture painting. You see the word texture, so you can paint one particular side to be blue, one particular side to be red, like that. So that's that for that. So we have shading. So this is your shading. This place is one of the most, let me say, complex parts of it in modeling or in whatever things you are doing. It's one of, I don't say it's the only one, but it's one of the most complex, because you will be using your materials here. Yeah, this is where you'll be seeing your nodes. You'll be using most of nodes. We have image nodes, texture mode nodes, and the rest like that. So you have, if you want to give it an for instance, a Kampala, that's a Yoruba clothing like that, you want to give it a particular color, so you have to know the right nodes to use. So we will still work on it in subsequent class. Here is animation. So if you are working on animation, this is where you can always come, though you can also do that in your layer. I will still come back and explain it here, but it's always good if you come here to always work on animating objects, because you will be seeing the way it is really working out here. So, and you are seeing some here, we call it timeline. This is your timeline. So we can see 120 down to 240 down here. So this is where you can always animate your object by keyframe. You keyframe a particular movement to a particular location, to a particular position. For instance, maybe you want your object to move from one point to another, so you can just only create that object and do what you will now locate it. You keyframe it to that particular location, then you go and keyframe another particular location. So then you will now see, for instance, let me quickly do an example here. For instance, this is my cube. I want it to go up and down. Let it start from key 0. So now I want it to go up and down. So let me use my GZ. That's it. Then I will press my I. So location. You can see that the keyframe here, the timeline has changed because I'm not already working on what do we call it? And I'm already animating. I'm already doing movements now. I'm not animating now. There's a difference between you are moving and you are animating. Now let me come to my. I'm just doing an example here. Let me come to keyframe 10, and in my keyframe 10, I want to bring it down, G down. Okay, it's there already. Then I press I, location again. So if I come down to here, you can see. So let me just mark my keyframe down to this place so that it will not be going. Yes, we have end start frame from 0, end frame. Let me use okay, sorry, is here. Let me use 10. Start from is 0 here. So now it will start from 0. You can see what I'm talking about. Yet it's not what you are seeing here. Yet it is not animated. I only do movements. What I'm doing, so if I want to animate it, because I need to understand gravity, how an object is falling, so we are not really working on that today. So let me undo. And I'm just only explaining. Yeah, so we have rendering. If you want to render your image, you can only see it from here, though there are shortcuts to that, as I've shown you in your edit here. There are shortcuts. This is compositing. We have geometry here. Let me come back to layout. So these are the things I will be walking you through some of them. Here also you can see here we have in our layout, we have this here. Now what this does is to move, because yes, that's why my cursor is in an arrow cursor like that. So to pick, to point, and this one is when is my cursor. You can see I can move my cursor around because I'm on my cursor now. So there are shortcuts to that already. If I want to put my cursor here, I can put it there. So, and the shortcut to that is shift and right click. You can see shift and right click. You can shift and right click to move your cursor around without, for instance, I'm here, shift and to move it around, so without pressing this. But when you press this, anytime you click, it's going to come there. You just left click. But if it's not there, if you want to use the shortcut shift and right click, it's shift and right click, not left click. So this one is our also move tool. Can use it to move object up in Z axis. Also here in Y axis, and we have this red here in X axis. So there are 3 dimensions here. There are 3 dimensions. So Z is up, Y is left and right, and Y this is this. X is front and back. I hope we are getting it. So this one is just to rotate your object. So in either Y or Z axis, it's just to rotate. So that's that for that. This one is to scale. Want to make it, you can see, that's to scale, in X and Y axis. So here we have to transform the mesh. That's transform it to, so all those this one move to cursor, move to, rotate and scale are all in one now. So I can do scaling, you can see when I click on this, so I can move, I can do scaling up, you can see. So it's just all in one. So this one is just to annotate, that's to draw, is to draw. So this I can decided to turn it to mesh. That's one thing about Blender. So I can draw, I can use to draw a pathway. Yeah, I can use to draw a pathway like that. So this is to measure. I want to measure how many centimeter from, okay, for instance, this is my cube here. So I want to measure how many centimeter is my cube. Oh, I have 5.900 meters. So here we have add cube. So that's that for that. So now here we have outline here. We have our outline bar here. You can drag, you can click and drag, you can bring it lower, you can bring it out. So these are where all your mesh, all what you are working on, this is where you continue to see them. And it is always good as a modeler to always name your mesh, so that if you want to go back to it, you will know which one is one. You will know which one you are to use and which one is not. Do you understand? So this is where your objects or your mesh will always appear. You can see the camera. I can click from here. The camera is there. You can see the cube here. I can click from here. You can see the lights here. I can click from there. So that's that for that. If we have many, if you are working on many mesh, so it's good to always rename. Here we have the lower bar here. We have the, so if you click here, it's going to give you this different viewports here. What you can see, this is general, this is to animate, this is scripting, this is for scripting, and this is for data. You can see preferences and most of the things you'll be doing. This thing that look like a spanner and a screwdriver is your tool. So is your tool. I have it here. If I press my N here, you will see my tool here is here. So I have it here. I added it from my edit mode node. So add-on rather. So I added it to it. It's to set origin, locations, parents, like that. Here I have, this is where if you want to render your scene, for instance, I want to render this, in what engine will I use to render? Is it in Eevee or in Workbench? So Workbench or Circus. So if it is in Circus, then it's going to begin to calculate it every bit. That is, it will come out in more 3D shape like that. So we are not doing working it now. In the subsequent class, you will know much about it and how to set up when you want to render. So here we have Circles, we have Eevee. Here we have our output. So how do you want it to when you want to render, how do you want it to come out? Is it in 24 frames per second? Or you can make adjustments here where you want to save your file, and is it in PNG or whatever you just choose, then you can just maneuver from there. So here we have view layer, where you can see view your layers. Here we have emissions, we have environment, shadows, ambient, and the rest like that. So here we have scene. This is your camera. This one is mainly for camera, how you can manipulate your camera and the rest like that. So we will still come back here also. This is your word. I told you that is a word. 3D is a word. So how you want your word to be darkened. For instance, if I go down to my rendering, my rendered mode, render preview here. So this is my word. Whatever things you are seeing here, if you render this thing like this is how it's going to look like when you finish your rendering. So that is why you should always make sure that when you come down here, you set your lighting, you make sure that everything is fine. So that's your scene, that's your word rather. So if you want it to be a lighter one, you can see my word is now white. So this is where you just make sure that you work on your word. So here we have collection like that. So object, this is your object. If you want to work on your object to transform it like that, because this is not clicked. So if I begins to work on it, that's location, you can see it's already moving. So that's my, here we have this is where you add your modifiers. Modifiers, we will always come down here to add a lot of modifiers as we work on our mesh. So here we have, so this is our physics. Yes, this is our physics. So you can see here we have add object constraint. Don't worry, we will still give you better explanation in the subsequent class. Here's our cube, UV unwrap. If you want to do your UV unwrap and the rest, working on your cube. Now this is where materials preview comes in. If you want to add color to it, you want to make it blue, you want to make it yellow, so you can see it's changing. That's where you can add colors. We still come back to that place. You can make it more like a glass, metallic, make it more rough and the rest like that. We are coming down to that place. Don't be in a hurry. This is where our brush is. I will still walk you through. I'm just giving you the little tips about everything. Here we have our axis here. You can see we have Z axis, Y axis, and X axis. So these are the three axes we mainly have. So we now have minus Y, minus X, minus Y, minus, so we now have different angles again, minus Z, minus Y up here. So that's that for that. So I'll see you in the next class, and I hope this. Before I leave, let me come down here. We have view here, toolbar. You can see it's click. My toolbar is here. What you want to see, toolbar, you can see it's gone. My toolbar is gone. So if you did not see your toolbar here, you don't need to panic. It's there. You can see I brought it there back. So it's gone. But if I want to bring it up, I come down here. That's my toolbar. Then two settings and the rest. That's where what you want to view here, you always see it down here. Here we have select. Excuse me, let me select this first. Let me see. So box select and the rest. So here we have add. If you want to add your mesh, instead of using the shortcut, you can always come down here to add your mesh. Object, want to do mirror, you want to set your object to set origin, transform, collections, and the rest like that. So here we have global, we have transform orientation. So we have global, we have local, we have normal, we have gimbal, we have view, we have cursor, and we have parent. Here we have pivot around box center of selected objects. So we still explain that this is what we call snap to. If you want to snap your object to when you are working on it, so it's called snap to. See the way it's moving, it's snapping. Unlike if it's not checked, see the way it will move. You can see it's moving smoothly. Unlike if it is checked, look at the way it's moving. You can see it's moving like something like robots or something. So that's that for that. So here we have volume, vertex, edge, face nearest, and the rest like that. Here, this one is your, sorry, excuse me. See, when I press my move, you can see this circle here, this circle here. So if I want to move, and maybe for instance, let me come to my edit mode and my face mode here. So, and I want to do move in there. Let me put it on. Then, so if I want to make all to move, or if I want to move it, I want to move a smaller part. You can see. So that's that for that. We still talk more on it. Let me go back. So yeah, we have smooth. If you want to smooth your object, sphere, and the rest like that. So here we have view object types, mesh, curve, and the rest like that. So these are just all the toolbars. If I click on this, you can see that I'm not seeing any other thing apart from my cube. So this thing happens to me sometimes like that, and I was unable, I never knew that it was not clear. I was not looking for I couldn't see my camera. I couldn't see. If I bring another new mesh, I won't see it. I said, wow, what's happening? Until I found out that it is this particular place. So this is where your view is. We have this one is for wireframe. You'll be seeing like your edges, your vertices very well. This one is solid mode. This one is preview mode, material mode rather. This one is material mode, while this one is rendering mode. Yeah, render preview. So that's all that for now. So yeah, in our layout we have another timeline here. Apart from you going to your animation place here to animate, so you can also come down to your layer here. You can also animate the same object. You can also animate same object here. So that is the timeline for your animation. So I believe this is helpful, and in the next class we are going to work on simple modeling, and I'll see you in the next class.